This is a conditional recommendation in its current state. If you are a sim enthusiast, then this will hit some marketed improvements in the areas of customization, ease of use configuration in setting the game up. However, Asobo Microsoft have made the same missteps as MSF's S2020's launch, not including critical features in customization. To include the promised importation of flight controls not present in current state, having a functioning MSFS store where all previous aircraft, terrain, other add-on data is stored, and no ability to manually configure offline cache data. There are a plethora of areas that this game needs improvements on. The move to complete data streaming has been belabored by other reviews, and rightly so. Besides an entire user base in rural areas being excluded from the same experience, this eliminates the user customization that many have been accustomed to. Moreover, even once the store is brought alive, users who have paid for content from MSFS 2020 under the promise of it being available for use in MSFS 2024 will effectively not have access to it until such a point as client-side configuration is made available to choose which content unloads as a priority, whether in stream or locally. Users should be allowed to load local data as priority over stream data. With all that said, the major advantage and most attractive feature of MSFS 2024 over its predecessors is the organic presence of the career mode. While imperfect, as I'll explain below, it saves many additional external programs from needing to be downloaded to give a purpose to flying in the sim, as was the status quo in the past. That said, the career mode, while it is thankfully an abbreviated pathway to certifications and thereby fun over what they could have done full realism, excessive hours in the mundane sightseeing, and mandatory flight lessons. Asobo Microsoft have committed one massive sin that holds it back from greatness: server-side data storage only. This effectively makes this game again inaccessible to many who may have chosen to operate like in previous entries in cache local areas. Additionally, the credit system and mandatory pathway from PPL to commercial to ETP with endorsements is a nice touch, but is also not entirely accurate. In early game, driving massive repetitive credit grinds of 45 main to 130 missions, taking the same mom and pop teams to see their front lawn skydive, another 3 passengers on the world's longest climb out for a power limited C-172. While realistic and a nostalgia trip for many real-world pilots, the option to modify career start would have made this perfect. That, and most importantly, to not have data server-side is key for user experiences. In a single-player game that only networks missions for data sharing would have solved 80% of grief from sim fans. It does not matter if an experienced simmer or pilot, presumably 90% of the fanbase buying this game, starts on an advanced airframe and is successfully assisting in specialized missions at the get-go. Nor do any of the credits matter. This is not a matter of leveling the playing field or preventing cheating. It's a veiled excuse to sell fake credits to single-player members to avoid the tedium of the first 3 to 5 years of a pilot's career. At worst, this gives Asobo Microsoft incentive to intentionally modify credits earned and core gameplay features to compensate margins via microtransactions. 1. Physics. The new game's physics are far improved and you can feel it. I have had to relearn how the Super Hornet flies and it feels so much better. The realistic turbulence and ground effect also is excellent. The improved ground interaction is excellent also. Taxiing and landing feels very good, and the aircraft feels as if it has lots of inertia and won't just turn on a dime. That, and most importantly, to not have data server side is key for user experiences. In a single player game that only networks missions for data sharing would have solved 80% of grief from sim fans. It does not matter if an experienced simmer or pilot, presumably 90% of the fanbase buying this game, starts on an advanced airframe and is successfully assisting in specialized missions at the get-go. Nor do any of the credits matter. This is not a matter of leveling the playing field or preventing cheating. It's a veiled excuse to sell fake credits to single-player members to avoid the tedium. Overall, I think the game is an adequate step up from 2020, and that there is a huge amount of potential. The new planes are great fun, the scenery is beautiful, and the career mode is fine. I would recommend the game to any FS 2020 enjoyer, but if you don't enjoy tweaking and tampering with settings and working with bugs and crashes, I would suggest waiting a few months for the game to stabilize and for the community to settle.